In a small, windswept village perched on the edge of a rugged coastline, there stood an ancient lighthouse. Its beam had guided countless ships through treacherous waters for over a century. The lighthouse keeper, an old man named Elias, had dedicated his life to maintaining the light. He was a quiet, solitary figure, but the villagers respected him deeply. They knew that as long as Elias was there, the light would never go out. One stormy night, the village was hit by the fiercest storm anyone could remember. The winds howled like wild beasts, and the waves crashed against the cliffs with terrifying force. The villagers huddled in their homes, praying for the storm to pass. But Elias knew he had a duty to fulfill. He climbed the spiral staircase of the lighthouse, his weathered hands gripping the rail tightly. As he reached the top, he saw the storm in all its fury. The sea was a churning cauldron of darkness, and the rain lashed against the windows like 1,000 tiny daggers. Elias lit the lamp, and the beam cut through the storm, a beacon of hope in the chaos. But as the night wore on, the storm grew worse. The lighthouse shuddered under the force of the wind, and Elias feared that the structure might not hold. He thought of the ships out at sea, their crews relying on his light to guide them to safety. He thought of the villagers below, trusting him to keep them safe. And he thought of the promise he had made to his father, the previous lighthouse keeper, on his deathbed. Never let the light go out. With renewed determination, Elias worked tirelessly to keep the lamp burning. He adjusted the wick, refilled the oil, and cleared the windows of debris. The storm raged on, but Elias stood firm, his resolve unshakable. Hours turned into days, and still, the storm showed no sign of abating. Elias grew weary, his body aching from the strain, but he refused to give up. He knew that if he faltered, lives would be lost. Finally, after 3 long days and nights, the storm began to subside. The winds died down, and the waves grew calmer. As the first rays of dawn broke through the clouds, Elias looked out over the sea. The water was still rough, but the worst was over. He saw a ship on the horizon, its sails tattered but its hull intact, making its way toward the safety of the harbor. The crew waved to him, their faces filled with gratitude. Elias smiled, a deep sense of fulfillment washing over him. He had kept his promise. The light had never gone out. The villagers emerged from their homes, marveling at the damage the storm had wrought. But they also marveled at the lighthouse, still standing tall and proud, its beams shining brightly. They gathered at the base of the lighthouse, calling out to Elias. When he finally descended, they cheered and applauded, their voices filled with admiration and gratitude. Elias, ever humble, simply nodded and said, "I only did what I had to do." From that day on, the villagers saw Elias in a new light. He was no longer just the quiet, solitary lighthouse keeper. He was a symbol of resilience, dedication, and unwavering commitment. His story spread far and wide, inspiring others to face their own storms with courage and determination. And though Elias eventually passed on, the lighthouse continued to stand, its beam a reminder of the promise he had kept. The villagers took turns maintaining the light, ensuring that it would never go out. They knew that as long as the light shone, they would always find their way home. The end.